Welcome to Testing in the Pub.
Right, so welcome back to Testing in the Pub, or testing in the small Italian cafe opposite the Brighton Dome where we are for Test Bash. So, hello Dan.
How's it going?
Very, very well. We have some guests, don't we, Dan?
We do, yeah.
And they look happy to be talking to us. Introduce
Sounds
yourself.
like deja vu, this. This is John Stevenson here. I'm a tweeter, I'm a blogger, author, and lots of things, and a tester as well.
Hello, my name is Joaquin Aspiazu. I was just walking around, I saw people doing interesting stuff, and I decided to join myself to the party.
Nice. But as a bit of deja vu because I forgot to press record. I pressed record but it stopped. So anyway, right. So that was a very short and sweet intro, but tell us a bit more information about how you got into testing and what you actually do now. I know that you're coaching and training and stuff, but how did this all come about?
Yeah, from my perspective, Dan, I will make this short, probably shorter than before. I originally came from an educational background doing support work, and somehow changes in schools happened where local management in schools came in, where they managed their own budget and they got software in and everything else. So I ended up testing the software we were getting in. I didn't know it was called testing at that time. I just thought, is this suitable for us to use? And I sort of fell into it in that way. Some things happened work-wise, personal-wise, so I ended up contracting because it was from a different budget. And then other things happened, moved to a different part of the country, and I've been testing ever since, and mainly as a contractor, then more recently, now 10 years, more recent, is that more recent? The last 10 years for a single company, and during that time I've learned to write blogs and articles, and one of the game changers for me was meeting Michael Bolton, and he changed my thoughts. And before that I was reading books such as The Art of Software Testing by Glenford Myers and Boris Bezer's book and a few others, and Lee Copeland's as well. Forgot to mention that one. And that was the introduction for me, but meeting Michael changed my thinking and my thoughts, and that's when he encouraged me to start blogging. He encouraged me to start writing a book about testing and how it relates to people. And currently I'm working on a lot of different things, mainly not testing a lot, but I've got another talk I want to do about that at some point. But mainly it's about getting containers working and Docker and stuff like that, so we can use it as a tool to assist testing. So that's what I'm currently working on. That's the latest high visibility thing I'm doing.
That's interesting.
Very. I love it, love it. It's quite technical, but it doesn't need to be technical. That's the great thing about it.
Yeah.
Okay, I started as a tester in 2008. I was working as a phone support technician, picking the phone, fixing problems that the users had, and then one day the company decided to fire the 2 testers they had. So that's how I became a tester. When I first started with my new testing role, I asked, okay, how do I do this? How should I test this software? And I was told, well, you just have to do the things the same way that the other people were doing. But we soon realized that if we started doing the same thing the same way, we will soon also going to get fired. So we realized that we need to learn how to do things, and that nobody from inside the company was going to help us. So we started reading books, finding blogs. One of those blogs that I found was your blog. So, and then I moved from waterfall to agile, from being the single testers to working a team. And that's my journey I'm in the middle of right now.
Nice. So you kind of both have hit this realization then, right, about learning about testing and changing mindsets. And, how it's kind of one of the sessions that I'm going to be running at the testing clinic that me and Mark Wintingham picking up is going to be about that realization, right? And how do we deal with that realization, and what are we doing going forward with teaching other people about this realization? So how did you guys handle that? Because it sounds as if you were at a point where you were already a contractor, right? So you've already got all this experience previously, but hitting that point when you said you spoke to Michael Bolton,
Yeah.
Is that like?
Yeah, I should stop nodding my head a lot and just say yes a lot because I forgot it's on a mic and it's audio only. We're not on video calls here. Yeah, it's quite interesting because maybe it's because as a person I'm self-driven, and I think that helps. Is the fact that I want to learn. I don't want to stop learning, and we've discussed this before about it's important to keep learning. People don't realise that even when they think they're not learning, they are learning, and it's making that realisation that there is an art and there is a skill to learning as well, and I think people miss that out, and these sort of epiphany moments happen with people, that you meet people and think, it triggers something. It still happens to me today, that something triggers me, and then I spend months researching it and writing about it, and I think those I know in the testing community all do that same thing, and I'm a big fan of sharing. I don't want to keep it to myself. I want other people to know about it. So we do all that kind of sharing of knowledge, and it's what we talked about coaching, mentoring, and we can get onto that one. What about you, Neil?
You do need to have those conversations.
Yeah.
You do need to exchange your ideas, to expose your way of thinking, to get challenged by other people. So you get to the point of you say, hey, wait a moment, I was wrong.
Not appear.
And I know why, and I understand. So yeah, you really need to get this exposure to other people. You really need to base on the community in order to have this interchange of ideas.
It's kind of like that bubble thing that Katrina was showing in her presentation. It's like she had a lot of testers who were all inside their own little bubbles, and if you're in a company, there are probably less testers than there are other disciplines like development, for example. So it's easy to be the sole tester or one or two testers. But even in a bigger company, I mean, I worked for Nokia for 9 years, and we thought the testing we did for like 8 of those years was awesome. And then I had kind of the epiphany moment, and then I did rapid software testing, and I kind of started hooking in the community, and I realised actually a lot of what we were doing was absolute rubbish. But we thought it was awesome because it was slightly better than what other people were doing in the company.
Yeah.
And yeah, you've always got to look outside. Looking outwards is so important.
How do we know that we're not falling into that same trap just at a community level? Because we're all saying the same thing in the community, but how do we know that?
Because
That's an extremely good question.
As long as we get new people and we respect the new people with the new points of view, I think we are going to be all right.
Yeah.
If we keep saying the same things year after year, I mean, if in the next year's test pass I came and I hear exactly the same things without nobody challenging anything, I will start believing that we are doing something wrong.
Yeah, but I see a lot of talks today, right? And everybody's nodding along. We're all on the same page, but it's kind of like that last talk, which was
2 hands. Michael
Yes, yeah.
Wansley.
And he was talking about testers being gatekeepers, and he made a really good case for it in his context.
He had a point.
He did.
But it's kind of, I feel as if a lot of people would disagree just because it's different to what they're preaching against. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
I think there's a different argument on that. I think there's a different viewpoint. I mean, my viewpoint, and I didn't ask the question that I wanted to ask him, which was how do you deal with what you're talking about in a continuous deployment model? Because it seems to fall apart.
Yeah, or even just
Well, I suppose
requirements.
the better question might be: have you had to deal with that in a continuous
Well, that's what I asked him on
deployment
Twitter.
model?
I'm waiting for a reply. So I'm intrigued. I thought we need those challenges, and that's why I still engage with people like Vex online. And there's an old adage, there's an old word, and because someone turned around to me and sent me a message saying, "Why are you engaging with these people?" I said, "Well, there's an old adage about keep your friends close, but your enemies closer." So if you're going to treat it like some people do, they treat it like a battlefield and warfare. I don't. I am open to any discussion for people to change my mind. And I think we've got to in the testing community is what you just said. If you come next year and they're all talking the same stuff, and it's having that, and the community I work with is having that ability to be able to challenge.
Yeah,
I have no interest in those that close themselves off and say, no, that's not the way it should be done. I want people to engage with me because I may be able to challenge them, and even if just a small bit, make them expand their thinking beyond what you've just said, beyond their bubble.
Yeah, but they might be also trying to influence you in a way, even just that little bit.
That's great.
Which is, I agree is great, but I guess my point is right, we're at Test Bash, right, which is heavily a context-driven
Yeah.
conference. If you were in control of Test Bash, would you invite Rex along to do a talk?
Why not?
Well, that's a good thing.
I would
Yeah,
because
totally.
it'll encourage debate. And who's the owner?
Yeah.
No one owns the testing space.
That's a very, very good point.
And
Yeah.
also
Yeah, there's multiple testing spaces.
Yes.
Right? So it's kind
Yeah.
of...
the thing with continuous delivery is just that it's faster. Code gets faster to production. Okay, so if you want to raise a concern, you just have less time. No, you don't have less time, but things happens faster.
What about continuous deployment?
Yeah,
you
yeah,
don't
yeah.
have that time to go to production. It's just going straight live.
Okay, but
Yeah,
this
but
code,
this is where-
this man has right in a way that there is a process there. For the code that reaches production has a why, and then you are in the middle of that process. You can raise your awareness. You can raise questions. Like saying, why are we doing this? Why are we going to start this whole project? Why do we believe that these assumptions are right before we start doing stuff?
Start
right?
earlier.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's what I said to Michael on stage. Is we need to start earlier.
Yeah, and that was... I had my hand up for a question, but I never got asked, which was... what
So-
about testing the idea of the product?
We might not
idea.
be anymore the gatekeepers for the code to reach production as we were 15 years ago, but we can challenge the ideas before they get to the code. We
Yeah.
might be,
Yeah.
I don't know, a gatekeeper. A gatekeeper can be a lot of stuff, right? If I go to a discotheque, from the discotheque owner's perspective, the gatekeeper is a guy you trust that is going to let in some kind of people while some other kind of people just won't have a chance. So you do want to have a gatekeeper. I don't know. There are we can
It's less
play,
less about stopping what goes out and more about stopping what comes in.
yeah, we can play a lot with what a gatekeeper can be,
Ooh,
right?
Play that through. That's what testing is. If
Yeah.
you get involved earlier,
Yeah.
it's about stopping
It's
stuff
about stopping,
getting
yeah.
in that shouldn't be. And I've talked about this before, and it lost its
Once they're inside, you know there is going to be trouble to get
yeah.
them out again. So
Yeah.
why
Yeah.
not,
Prevent.
prevent them from getting in?
Well, I mentioned that this morning because I had a debate with somebody on my blog about this, about differentiating between what customers want and need, and they didn't see there was a difference.
Oh, really?
Yeah, and again, it goes back to the sort of, if you do the hierarchy of needs and all this lot, and Wi-Fi's at the bottom, and chocolate and stuff like that, and everything else. But we talk about the sort of what the customer wants. Nobody seems to be going, and this is what testing is really good at. What do you actually need, rather than what you
Yeah.
want? And I think that's what gets missed sometimes in all of those.
Yeah, that's kind of the first questions is what and why that we should ask of the idea of the product, right? If you ask them any later than that, then it's kind of too late, in my opinion. Do you know what I mean? If you wait until you've got a product in front of you and then ask, well, what is this and why are we delivering
Yeah.
this? Then it's kind of completely, it can be detrimental in the sense of scope creep and stuff like that, right? So that's the value.
It's inherently too late.
That is, yeah, definitely.
But we know you're into sort of fitness stuff, so take that to the level if you want to do this as an experiment. with
I'm
you.
really interested about this. Come on, make this analogy. Take this analogy further, John.
Oh, great. Okay, here we go.
You've got me.
Imagine you turn around and say you're going to keep fit, and Dan's going to try and
Call me
it.
fat, man. Just because I'm standing next to Steve. Like,
My context, your context.
I
Steve
can't
makes
say
me look.
anything. I can't say. But take that to that stage is that you say you want to get fit. You want to swim 20 miles. Okay. Now there's a possibility that you want to do it.
Yeah.
You're not going to do it. Yeah. You go out and swim 5 miles. Oh, that's all right. 10 miles. Oh, too tired. No, I'm going to stop now. I'm going to go for a beer at the pub. I will go for a coffee at the cafe. Now imagine you're 20 miles from coast, your boat has capsized. You now, to live and survive, you need to swim it. Not
Yeah.
want, you need to.
Yeah.
That's the difference.
Yeah.
And people don't get that. We don't ask those kind of questions to
No.
customers. What's the
Very
minimum
fair
you
point.
need
Yeah.
that we can do for you
Yeah.
now, rather than all this stuff you want?
Yeah. Yeah. That's a very, very good point. I'm not going to swim 20 miles.
It comes back to, right, so Lisa and Emma's talk, right, this morning, where they were talking about the right thing. But they threw up the diagram of the MVP diagram, right? It comes back to that as well, because what if they need a car straight away? What if they need to get from London to Glasgow? What if they need to transport 4 people, right? Or 5 people, 6 people? It's like,
Then that MVP is a very different, very different beast.
Exactly.
Bus ticket will make it. Yeah.
Well, I don't like the word. I don't like.
Yeah, me.
I hate
Smurfs, man. Use Smurfs.
Yeah, I don't like that minimum. No, give me the minimum that gives us some money.
Yeah.
And I know someone wrote some blog posts about it, but I can't remember what they called it. They called it something else, but I don't call it minimum value. But I want something of value that we can sell.
Yeah. Smurfs, specific, marketable, usable, releasable feature sets.
There you go.
That's a bit too. See, it doesn't roll off the tongue such as MVP does.
It doesn't.
Yeah, there are different approaches. There is the minimum lovable
Unleash
product.
the Smurfs.
Yeah, so the minimum I can get you, so you will say, oh, I love this.
Yeah.
That's
MLP.
yeah.
Nice.
They may love it, but again, it's got to be stuff that adds value.
Yeah.
And this is the bit that we miss off when they say minimum value, viable. I think it should be minimum valuable product.
Yes. Yeah.
It has to be a value to business.
Useful.
And that's what the testers I think need to pick up on more. And I do go on and rant about this a lot. Is we need to start thinking in terms of business value and risk and what cost savings could be and everything else, rather than thinking in terms of test cases and pass-fail automation. Get out of those arguments and get into the arguments of, if we do this and do it this way, we could add some value to the business, because then the people at the top listen. And Keith Klein did a great talk on this.
I was about to say that. About to bring that up.
Yeah,
he did.
C leads.
Yeah. How to talk to a CEO about testing.
Yeah,
It's all
Talk
about risk.
money.
It's all about money.
Talk about money, not about testing.
Yeah. I don't care how many test cases you run.
No.
Okay, so we're at Test Bash.
We are at Test
in
Bash.
Brighton, 2016. We're halfway through the day, just a little bit beyond halfway. What's been the top things of Test Bash 2016 so far?
Go on, you can go first. I don't mind. I'm being polite. We're both being polite on here. And we're pointing at each other and we don't realise again.
So I came a long way to be here in Test Bash, but for me, I live in Spain, in Valencia, which is not a big city even for Spain. So the testing community we have over there is like what my co-worker and we are able to gather in our office. Okay, so the testing community meetings can be like 7 or 11 people. I love that. I love the fact that we are able to do meetings, but it's nothing far from what I get when I get here. I mean, I've been coming here the last 6 times I was able to, so I'm really happy to meet people I already know. So yes, I'm having a great time. For me, it's a great testing party week. It's a great one-day conference that lasts 1 week, and I'm very happy to be here. Yeah,
It's true. It's true.
No, it is.
There's a huge social element with this. With a lot of conferences, it's about socialising as well, right?
Well, it's about who you meet.
There's
as much as about what you hear.
as well.
But
Some are better and more friendlier than others.
you
They
can
are.
spot
Yeah.
you
They
can
are.
spot differences.
Yeah.
As I haven't been to many, but for all those that I've been to, I can tell you what is different here versus the other places. Yeah, and always it's a social thing.
Yeah. I always try and make, we'll give away tips while we're doing this. I always make a tip, any conference I go to, if we're having lunch and everything like that, I go and sit with people I don't know, deliberately. Because you're going to meet those people that may have something you can learn from and they can learn from you. And I try and do that, I really try and do that consciously, not to sit with people I know. But normally, inevitably, what happens is people who I know come and sit with me. I don't know. So it spoils the whole thing. But just try that. Try that.
No, but
Top tip there, friends of John. Don't sit with him at conferences.
But it's
John
alright
brings the
because
games. John brings the games.
you are also okay. When you sit with people you don't know, the next year you came, they already know you.
Yes. and they want to sit with me.
Okay. So,
Or maybe they don't.
but you keep on running away, sitting with new people. They still didn't know you. So at the end, when you have spent like 6 years coming, then you have nowhere to go.
I have no friends. Thank you.
Plus, you're in a position where you might not know people, but people might know you,
Yeah.
right? Because of your
Yeah.
blog and tweets and book as well. So that must be quite odd as well. People who are like,
Yeah.
John, how's it going?
Yeah.
Are people calling you Steve, maybe? Because you're
Are
Twitter?
you about you in particular, Dan? That has happened so often. But yeah, I try not trying to be rude or anything, but I do try and encourage to try and communicate with different people. I'm not going to turn around and say, "Well, I know you already. I'm not going to talk to you," kind of stuff. But it's trying to meet up with new people because people coming to a conference for the first time, it's very intimidating. And that's the great thing about Test Bash. It tries not to be intimidating. They keep it small enough and friendly enough, and they have all the meetups. Sometimes because of the alcohol stuff, people can avoid it and it can be very loud and noisy, but that's fine for those kind of events. And I think have your own little ones as well. I don't think that's a problem. Go off and do your own little meetups separately. Go and meet up with a big group and then go off and do your own little thing with a small group of people. That's how it grows dynamically and organically. Because some people can't cope with loud noise, some people don't want to be in a pub where you're drinking and all that kind of stuff. I don't think that's a problem. And so make your own. And for me, this Test Bash, I do like Test Bash because it is one main conference and you can't get anywhere else. You've got to go and do that track 'cause it's one track.
Yeah.
I do like that.
I like
Because I've had the opposite. I've been to Agile Alliance where you've got 1,800 people
That's
with
huge.
10 tracks,
Yeah.
15 tracks to choose from.
Yeah.
And reading the abstract, you think, okay, this you can't escape. You do this and
Yeah.
this
No, it's
track.
nice.
But additionally, everybody's seeing the same talks, so you can go up to anyone and say, what do you think about
Yeah.
this talk? Right.
But then there is another point. The talks have been recorded and they will be shared.
Yeah.
Okay, so for anybody who English is not their main language, as for me, it really helps to
Yeah.
be able to reproduce the talk and then check my notes, because the first time I was so busy taking notes that I know I missed some things.
Yes, good point.
And then when I got back to the office and people ask me, so what did you learn? You can just say, you know what, wait 3 months, okay? Because I've just seen one video about somebody telling something that you have to listen. So I wait for the videos to be published, and then what I do is I host a lunch where we buy some food, so people come. It's very important. Free food, free
Influence
beer.
skills, man.
Yes,
Rural
and then I
reciprocation.
give them a talk. Like, hey, this is somebody who is going to explain about this thing. You should listen to that. And sometimes they go, yeah, and sometimes they go, no. It doesn't matter. But it provides me with a tool to share the talks. And only because of that, I am a true believer that I can support this conference by spending my money coming here.
Yeah.
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 It is
Good
the
point.
sharing. Sharing is caring.
Okay, so John, your talk earlier was about model fatigue and how to break it. Tell us a little bit about that.
Well, as Jochen just said, you can watch the video soon.
I want to hear about your
This
experience. with
interview
it.
might get published earlier. So you can give
It's quite likely it will.
So it's quite interesting. My talk was focused on we have all these test models that people use, such as fuel hiccups and there's loads of others, and I never remember them all. FCC cuts vids. And what I found with them is people boilerplate them and treat them as gold, that's the only ones. And the test ideas they add to them, they never change, they keep the same and everyone shares them. And so, same as everything else, we have the path of least resistance. So you find everyone's got the same test plans, with the same test models, with the same test ideas, even though it may not be relevant to their project, or their domain, or their context. So the talk was about using creative models such as Scamper, which is substitute, combine, adapt, modify, put to another use, enlarge, and reverse or reduce. You can have it either way. Wow, I remembered that. That was hard. That's why it's an acronym for remembering something. Good heuristics. They're all heuristics. So
They are. Yeah.
and it was about my experience of doing that with some groups and how it failed and how I fixed how it failed. By actually working directly with the teams to implement these creative models to help with their test models. the end result is we found more and more problems, and it worked rather well.
Yeah.
And there will be a video.
And there will be a video. And if you want more on that, part of it, on the creative model part, is on my blog. It's on the whole series. I think 7 articles I wrote about
Awesome.
creativity.
We'll link your blog into this as well. So check the website for John's blog.
It's a brilliant topic, but I'm wondering, I completely agree, everyone should adapt the popular models out there to fit their own context and mould them and create extra bits and add to them to enhance your own testing, right? Do you think that there's a bit of a fear for people doing that? Because like maybe if they push out their own models, then maybe a bit of a backlash, or within their organisations there might be fight back because it's not a community model, if it's personal.
Well, Dan, you've experienced that recently, so with your model you've just published.
You're waiting for the backlash.
I'm waiting for the backlash, yeah. I haven't fed back into yours yet, but that's okay.
Bring it, man, bring it. I'm ready.
No, it's not backlash, but I think opening stuff up to criticism is all well and good, and I think it should be encouraged. It's healthy. You know, we don't know it all. There's bits we're going to miss. We're human. We make mistakes, and as we said earlier, who owns these models really? Does anybody own them? They're given out to the community to adapt and change.
Yeah.
The way that I look at it as well is like all models are fallible. They're useful, but not everyone has the same context.
But that's heuristics.
Yeah.
But the value many times you get out from those is when you are in a certain state with a certain testing structure, then you realize about the testing models, about the heuristic, and you say, oh, I was missing all of this. And you move yourself to adapt to these new ideas. If you don't keep moving, any kind of bug, any kind of behavior, any kind of trouble that will find a way through these models is going to find a way every single time.
Yeah.
It's going to hide. If you stick to the same strategy and models that you use, bugs will find places to hide where you're not. And that's why I wanted to adapt this. And we found loads more stuff. Some stuff was quite serious. Yeah. I cannot say, but some of it was.
But that's the thing, isn't it? There's a whole bunch of different models. Take a little piece of that model, take a little piece of that model, take a little bit of that one, apply it all to your own context. And essentially, yes, you probably made your own model. If you got the time and the inclination, then write a blog post about it, stand up and say and talk about it, share it.
And then be ready to challenge your own belief about your own testing. The same way you are able to challenge the product owner belief about how a solution is going to fix a known problem. And be humble, because you're still learning stuff.
It's like pick and mix.
It is like pick and mix.
Pick and mix.
Just like
I like
Woolworths.
food.
Yeah.
Or a little buffet where you can choose a little bit of this, a little bit of that, a little bit of that.
It's the best sort of food.
To answer your question,
Just choose it all.
It's tapas, isn't it?
tapas.
Yeah.
As you said at the beginning, no, I
tapas
don't think
isn't
anybody
big
owns
enough.
it.
Plates are tiny, tapas.
Yeah, not if you order a lot of it.
Yeah.
And also, if you order it in certain pubs and order a pint, you get the tapas for free.
Oh yeah?
Yeah, in some Spanish places, they still give you a tapas as a side dish.
Never drink without eating.
That's
hold
how
on.
tapas come from.
Yeah.
Okay.
Steve, what are we doing wrong?
I don't know.
The idea is you ask for a small beer, so you can ask for many
We'll go in
of
Spain.
them, and then you have something to eat. That's the tapa.
Yeah.
The tapa is the small plate that come over the beer. That's what.
it.
Oh wow.
So
You'll be doing it wrong.
Yeah. I've not been getting any food, and I've been ordering big beers.
and then you have tapas at the southern
That's
part of
because you're
Spain,
Scottish.
and you
Massive
have
stereotype.
and then you have the
Sorry.
pinchos at the northern part of Spain. So yes,
Yeah.
it's worth exploring.
Ah, interesting.
Yes.
We will come to Spain and record a testing in the pub over tapas.
Yeah, over beer, small beers.
Small beers and
tapas
tapas.
for free.
Yeah.
Yeah. Let's
So
do
we
it.
learned something today.
We
said
have
were-
learned
yeah,
something
we
today.
Okay, so the book.
Oh, the book about
Psychology
still
and
writing.
testing.
The psychology of software testing. Hashtag testing deliberately for marketing purposes.
Excellent.
Let's embrace this modern age. So yeah, I thought this was going to be a quick project. 3 years ago I decided, or 2.5 years ago I decided, I want to write a book. It's on my wish list of stuff to do. And people encouraged me, Michael has encouraged me, and other people encouraged me. My wife definitely has encouraged me to write this book. So you've got a lot to say. My wife says what I say is just common sense, that we should know it anyway. So I put it into words. And it started as a simple project. I've got 10 chapters, 15 chapters, even though it's called software testing, it's about psychology in general. And it came about because when I looked at software, we seem to all forget one thing, especially testers, that it's used by people. I know we're getting to the Internet of Everything and the Internet of Things where computers talk to computers, but somewhere along the lines there is some interaction with a human being. And human beings are predictable by being unpredictable in their behaviours and their patterns. So I wanted to write about it, so I wrote stuff on biases, I wrote stuff on teamwork, creative thinking, critical thinking, how we learn. And I've got 3 chapters. It should be finished this year. If I put this out there in public, it will be finished this year.
Yep.
3 chapters. Chapter I'm working on, automation, is the hardest one to write because it's constantly changing, and it started off as a big rant. I've had to rewrite the whole lot. It started on about automated vehicles and how it could kill us all, but that's a different story. and now I've gone into the realms of philosophy.
Take it easy, man. Nobody really expects to live forever.
That sounds like Highlander now. That's a movie. We've got the movie referencing again.
Yeah.
And we've got the Scottish movie referencing.
We have.
Yes.
We have.
Yep.
Great
Totally.
soundtrack. Queen.
Yeah.
So the chapter on automation has been an interesting one because it's now going into the realms of philosophy, and I think we can learn a lot from social science
We can.
and philosophy. Because it was quite interesting. Patrick in Test Bash put up about Socrates,
Yep.
and his answer there about knowledge, that we know all we could possibly know, comes from his discussion about Menno's paradox. And Menno's paradox talks about we either know everything or we know nothing.
Yeah.
And Socrates was answering that paradox
Yeah.
by saying, well, no, there's a bit in between where we can know it but not tell it.
Yeah.
And that was picked up by Pollini, and when he talks about something called the tacit dimension, where he says we know more than we can tell.
Yeah.
So how can you automate stuff you can't describe or tell? And I know there's these analytical big data systems, and I took it back to, at the moment, and this is the bit where I'm at to at the moment, I took it back to Shakespeare. To be or not to be, that is the question. When a computer can do that kind of stuff and understand the meaning behind that with artificial intelligence, I think we're onto something. Because that talks about death and why we are alive and why we are here and what's our purpose. Where he contemplates killing himself and he doesn't kill himself. Because he says there's much more to living than to dying. And it's quite interesting when you get into that. So it went off on a big rant and I brought it back in now. Then I've got a chapter on system thinking, and then a chapter on, I'm going to revisit heuristics.
Interesting.
Because it's been interesting. I'm having a debate on heuristics because some people say heuristics are biases. I don't. Heuristics can lead to bias, but in their inherent right, they are not biases.
Yeah, no, I would agree with you.
Yes, so I'm discussing that. So that's where I'm up to at the moment on the book. But you can still get it from Lean Pub. If you buy it now, it's cheaper. Because when it's finished with the last 3 chapters, I have to pay for a copy editor to go for it before it gets published in print.
Yeah.
So buying it now is going to probably save you $5 or $6.
There you go.
I don't know, I like buying books in print though, so I think I'm going to...
Buy both.
Yeah. Treat yourself.
I like writing all over my books, to be honest.
Print it out, I'm not going to stop you.
I think we've got about another 2 minutes before I run out of space.
Okay, so
Probably better.
outros.
We normally, whenever we interview people on the podcast, we ask them about favourite books and favourite blogs. We don't ask about favourite podcasts because we know it's Testing the Pub.
How could it not be?
So-
But yeah, say in roughly 30 seconds. I want to learn more. I want to know more. What books, what blogs, what websites are important to you?
Explore It, Elizabeth Hendrickson, definitely a book everybody should read. The Agile Testing books by Lisa and Janet. Michael's blog, because he has a load of resources on there, it develops sense. And for those in the Agile world, the Crisp blogs are really good because they're really pretty pictures.
Yep.
And it's a good way of explaining the difference between continuous delivery and deployment on there.
Awesome.
Nice.
Thank you.
Jerry Weinberg. I would suggest Perfect Software and Other Illusions as a starting point, and then any other thing written by Jerry Weinberg as a next thing after the first one.
Yeah, he tends to sometimes bundle a load of his books up in in a little
He's writing.
Amazon, like
he is-
Kindle bundle and stuff.
In this
like.
very moment, he is writing a book. I'm sure of that.
$40 for his complete
Yeah.
testing ones at the moment
Yeah.
on LeanPub.
Yeah,
Wow.
That's a bargain.
absolute bargain. Absolute bargain. Awesome. Well, thank you very much, gentlemen.
you.
It's been
Thank
very,
you.
very good to talk to you.
Good chat.